Good afternoon. I'm Andrea Hamas-Dodge with the Ames Chamber of Commerce. We are coming to you today with another video in our COVID-19 resources series. And we have today a topic that is really close to so many of our businesses right now, and it's the Paycheck Protection Plan. There's also a new program with a Main Street lending program. And so we wanted to come with you. We have lots of questions we know you have. And so we wanted to bring in one of our local experts here to help us out today. And so joining us is Scott Bauer, our president of First National Bank. Hi, Scott.
How are you? Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I'm good. Thank you so much for joining us today. Our businesses have been through so much right now, and our financial institutions are really just a key player in helping them through this. And so thank you to all you and all of your staff for everything you've been doing throughout this pandemic.
Well, absolutely. The banks are just reflective of the communities they're in. So we're all here to help.
Great. Well, we have lots of questions. We're going to start off today with the Paycheck Protection Plan, the loan forgiveness application. So one of the general questions we have is, has PPP had a positive impact or made a difference locally with our businesses and our community?
Yeah, I think overall it has. I think the rollout of the program was a little bit choppy. They tried to get something out very quickly, and they were kind of writing rules for it as the program was going on. I think for most people, it was beneficial. I know there's some that got the money and decided, maybe, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. They've paid it back already. There's others that are holding on to the money, and maybe they're not going to spend it and they'll just pay it back. They're not quite sure, kind of what that looks like on the forgiveness piece. So it's kind of been all over the board a little bit, but I think for most people, obviously everybody is impacted by what's going on in some way. So I like to think that a lot of businesses, a lot of small businesses in the community were helped by the program.
Great, that's great to hear. Obviously, that was the intention. So it's really nice to hear that it is helping our businesses. Is there funding still available?
There is. So the first round went very quickly. Everybody's kind of running around like their hair was on fire, trying to help as many people as we could. The second round's been a little bit slower, and I think again, as they came out with more guidance on who this is really for and that type of thing, I think it slowed down a little bit. So I think yesterday when I looked, there was still, I think, $100 billion left of the program. I think as they talk about the forgiveness piece, as people get comfortable with what that looks like, maybe it'll get busy again with what's out there. But right now, there's still plenty of funding for people. We've kind of seen the applications we're getting now are for smaller dollar amounts. The ones that came in early were kind of the bigger dollar amounts. So I would guess, I'm guessing, how long this will last, but kind of based on the last week or so, hopefully it would last another week. I think the program officially ends on June 30th. I'd be surprised if it got that far.
So the deadline changes, are there going to be any more deadline changes that you're seeing?
Well, yeah, so with the PPP, so the unknown, I guess I'm stumbling here. The unknown is they're talking about changing some of the guidance again. And so there's people in Congress talking about, maybe we can use this for more than 75% on payroll. Maybe they can use it for other things. I think that might come out even this week. And so I guess I'd stay tuned on some of that, on what that looks like. I think, again, they tried to roll out a program very quickly, and I think maybe the rules didn't match up for a lot of people that needed the funds. And if you think about like restaurants and some other people that already laid people off, it didn't really make sense to get into this program and try to hire back people when your business was closed. And so I think they're kind of realizing that, and they're trying to look at it and say, okay, what can we do now to maybe make this a little bit of a broader program that can help more people. And so this week, I think we'll find out a lot more about if there's any changes or not.
Yeah, I think, definitely we'll keep posting updated information on our COVID-19 resources page and getting that information out to our members as it becomes available. Every time we do one of these videos, we always joke, it feels like it's outdated within the next 5 or 10 minutes, just seeing
Right.
things have changed so quickly. And so we appreciate that and appreciate where we are and today as we're taping this one. Moving on maybe to the application itself. what, as a business is filling out the application, what important information or documents should they have available as they're doing that?
Yeah, so are you talking about the application to get the funds in, or the forgiveness piece?
The forgiveness application, yeah.
Yeah, so the forgiveness piece, so they came out with that application. So the people that we've kind of helped with this, we've sent that out to everybody. And it's not easy to read through. It's 11 pages. We tell people to start on page number 10 because it kind of tells you everything that they're kind of looking for. You need to read it more than once. And the forgiveness is going to be very specific to what they need to provide. Now, I know a lot of our businesses that we helped actually, got help from their accountants or from their payroll providers. Likely, you're going to have to reach out to these people again if you did that. Everything that you need is in that application. It's just that 11 pages is a lot for people that aren't used to dealing with that, and that's quite a few small business people. But really, just take your time. So there's really no rush to get this in. Again, they're talking about the 8 weeks. So if you were on the early end of getting this money, I think the first week of June or something would be kind of the end of that 8 weeks. There's no reason you need to get it in on day 8 week in one day. So take your time, make sure you read through it, make sure you have everything. Kind of the timing of it, as we understand it today, is that once we have a completed application, the bank has 60 days to do a good faith review. And so a good faith review means that we're going to go over and see if the numbers match up to what you gave us. Now, the business still has to sign off on the fact that everything they gave us was accurate. And we're not checking every single number. We're required to check, I can't remember if it's 4 or 5 different numbers on that. And there's a lot more information that needs to be provided. So again, there's no rush on it. Once the bank has it, they have 60 days to make sure it's complete. Once it's sent off to the SBA, they're telling us they get 90 days to look it over and make sure it looks like it should. So again, what I would just tell people, read it, make sure you have all your documentation. There's not a rush to get this in. It's better to get it right the first time than have to keep going back and forth with the bank you went through. So again, I'm guessing a lot of people are going to have to reach out and maybe get some help like they did with the original application to get the loan, but that's okay. The forgiveness part's going to be well worth the effort of making sure you do it right.
Absolutely. Are there any long-term record-keeping adjustments that a business should make?
Yeah, so what they're telling us is, if you had a loan amount that was above 2 million, it's automatically going to be audited to make sure that people were eligible and the information was correct on the dollar amount you got. Other people, they're not going to do that, except for they can go back and I'm not sure how they'll decide that, but they might go back and look at a few other ones that were below that $2 million mark. So what they're saying is you need to keep that information for 6 years after the loan has been paid off or forgiven. So if you're only getting half of your loan forgiven, you're going to have another loan that's going to run for a couple of years. After that 2-year period, once it's paid off, you need to keep all that information for 6 years, because my understanding is they can come back and look at all the information and make sure it was correct. So it's a long-term program.
Now, if a portion of a business's loan is not forgiven, in general, what are the repayment terms on the balance?
Yeah, so generally the loans were set up for 2 years, but the interest rate is 1% on those loans. So you have a 2-year time period to pay that back. So if you think about it, it's very inexpensive money. Now, if it's not forgiven, you do have to pay it back. That is a requirement for sure. But again, I'm guessing from what I've read, anywhere from 20 to 30% of the loans probably won't be forgiven, is what they're gonna kind of estimate. I don't know if that's true or not. So you kind of read a lot of stuff day to day on what that looks like. But again, you have 2 years to pay that back at a 1% interest rate. So again, cheap money, and hopefully most people will be able to do that. The banks, have a guarantee. So if somebody was not able to pay that back, the bank does get a guarantee from the SBA. We would be paid off. but that would be a black mark against that company if they couldn't pay it off. So hopefully that's not an issue for most small businesses.
Now, in order to qualify for forgiveness, are there certain business expenses that that can be submitted to help qualify?
Yeah, so the rules are still the same. So you had to spend 75% of it on payroll, on salary, and then 25% could be spent on business mortgage interest or lease payments, rent payments that the business had. And so those haven't changed at all right now anyway. Now, again, they're talking in Congress about maybe loosening that up so that money could be spent other ways, and we'll kind of have to just wait and see what happens.
And if a business has already applied and received the economic injury disaster loan emergency advance, is the advance forgivable?
Yeah, so my understanding is the advance is forgivable. So I think that's $10,000, and that was always part of the plan for that to be forgivable. Now, if you got that advance before you got your PPP loan, it should have been rolled into that as part of that PPP loan. Now, I'm guessing a lot of those advances came after maybe somebody got the PPP award. I don't think this loan forgiveness application is part of that, but I do think that economic injury disaster loan is still forgivable. I'm just not sure how they do that at this point.
And is there any other information about the Paycheck Protection Plan that you would like our members to know about right now?
I guess there's still money out there for people that were kind of debating about it. I think the big thing for people who got the funds, again, I would stress, know that forgiveness application, know it front and back, get whoever involved that you need to, because again, you're going to be signing off that this information is correct. And so it's not it's the bank's job to do a good faith review, but we're not going to be checking every single number, is my understanding on how that's going to work. So you want to make sure it's right because you're signing off that it is. And so I guess 6 years from now, you don't want somebody knocking on your door saying, hey, this was really wrong and you owe us money or something like that. So take your time. Again, there's not a rush to get this in. In fact, once you get it in, it seems like the time frame is going to stretch out a little bit on knowing whether you get forgiven or how much is forgiven.
Great, thank you. That's great advice. We'll make sure we have our resource page updated with current information as we continue to evolve through this with current links and resources and tips. So right now, though, we're going to move on to a new program, Main Street Lending Program. In general, do you want to tell us a little bit about what this program is? What's the goal? Why was it created?
Yeah, so the name is a little bit misleading, I guess. So these loans, the minimum dollar amount is $500,000. That's the minimum loan amount that you have to get 500,000 or more. I think it goes up to 10 on this program, but it's set up a little bit differently. So I think the purpose of the loan program, frankly, was, okay, we knew in the short term a lot of people were going to suffer, but we think maybe if in the long term, if this recovery takes longer than what we think, there's going to be some strong companies that are going to have some temporary issues. So I would say the program is really not for small businesses, for sure. It's really not for people that aren't having any issues, and it's not for people that are having serious issues. And so the way it's going to work is you go through your bank, but the bank has to underwrite that like they're underwriting any other loan we do day to day. So when they, what your business looks like and what it looked like, generally has to be strong. So if you were kind of suffering before things hit, likely you're not going to qualify for this loan. And again, the dollar amounts are much bigger on this loan. Again, it's a loan. There's no forgivable part of this. But from the bank standpoint, the reason the banks would do it is we're going to be required to keep 5 or 10% of the loan amount. The rest of it will be funded by the Treasury, I believe. And so we'll have some skin in the game. So that's why they want it to underwrite. They want us to underwrite it like we would any other loan we do every day. But then also there'll be a fee, I believe, for the bank to be involved in it. So I don't think this will be as popular as that PPP loan. Again, that was geared towards any dollar amount, and really, even though from what you read in the paper sometimes, the program was supposed to be geared towards small business. This other one is a little bit bigger companies. So I just don't think it'll be probably as popular in our neck of the woods on this program.
Okay. Could you tell us a little bit briefly maybe of who's eligible and how would I apply?
Yeah, so again, they haven't come out with all the information. I think it does start or effectively starts on June 1st. But again, anybody is really eligible to apply. Now, again, if you're a smaller company, can you afford $500,000 to pay that back over a 4-year time period? So that's the payback. It's over 4 years is what they want that payback over. And there's within the program, there's some different structure on how you do that. Some of it, I believe, is interest only for a time period. Then it goes to principal and interest. Another program, I think, is principal and interest right away. So you have to show that you were able to pay that back. So that's a big one for people for sure. You have to be able to pay it back in a fairly short time period. 500,000, 4 years is a fairly short time period. So again, I think it'll be a little bit less useful for a lot of our companies, most of our companies. Certainly there's some bigger ones that it might make a lot of sense for them to get involved in that. Again, the big thing on this is you had to be a strong company before everything hit, and you're just kind of having temporary issues as we kind of get back to hopefully what is normal again. Again, if you were having issues before this all hit, you're probably not going to qualify for the loan.
Okay, great. So, an option. It's nice to have a lot of options out there. So more information is coming on this program. We'll get some more resources put up on our website to help inform our members of the different options they have available to them. So is there anything else, Scott, that you would like to mention to the members right now?
Yeah, I guess stay tuned. Again, I think they're talking about some other stimulus programs that'll be coming out, and whether banks are involved in getting that out or if it's directly to businesses or individuals. We'll have to kind of wait and see. Again, I think the PPP program is likely going to have some changes to it. I think the forgiveness piece is likely going to look like the application does now, though. So again, my biggest piece of advice is to understand that as completely as you can. Get your trusted advisors in early. I know there's a lot of accounting firms, a lot of law firms that have been studying this for, everybody's getting the information about the same time, and everybody kind of wants to be an expert on it. But again, I guess I would stress that it's really, the banks really cannot fill it out for the customer. Again, we're signing off saying we check the numbers. The customer has to sign off saying this information is correct. So we can't be in both spots. So again, if you had somebody you kind of worked with before on with the application to get the loan, you're probably going to need to reach out to them again. But again, it's a daunting application for forgiveness, but just keep rereading it till it makes sense, and it will. All the information that you need is in there. And I think there's some guidance, more guidance out there on the SBA website with maybe more specific examples of what they're talking about too. So that would be a good resource.
Thank you very much. This is a great transition. I wanted to just point out to everybody, First National Bank is a wonderful partner of ours, and we really appreciate you taking the time to be with us today, Scott. And as you mentioned, there are so many other financial institutions, accountants, financial planners out there who are all a part of this. And so we would encourage anybody to work with those but also if you're looking for someone new, check out our directory. We would like to promote all of our chamber members who have worked so hard over these past few months to help our small businesses. And so we'll list those in the notes as well. But we have a chamber directory, and you can search by whatever function you're looking for. It's a great place to find trusted advisors in our neighborhood. So again, thanks, Scott, for your time, for being with us today. And all of this will be on our Facebook page, as well as our COVID-19 resource page on our website, which is aimschamber.com. Thank you very much and have a great afternoon.
Thank you.